"If you don't know where you're going, then any road will lead you there," said the Cheshire Cat. It is impossible to sit still. Time moves forward and, slowly but inexorably, nudges everything and everyone in some direction. The broader community of sorcery players is being guided subconsciously or perhaps even unconsciously in some direction, down some road. Of course, every road has its pros and cons, but there are opportunity costs worth bearing to reach a higher good. I'm not here to lay out a step-by-step plan of exactitude, but I do want to start a discussion of values, of what we prize as a community. I want to begin a dialogue that raises our collective awareness about where we are now and where we are headed. I want to discuss winning, not games, but players, their hearts and minds. Few can say that sorcery is their first trading card game. At the very least, it can be said that within our community, the buzz is always about players converting from other card games, usually Magic the Gathering. There are, as I have discussed previously, a myriad of reasons for players to make the switch. If we want to set a noble course, we need to start with thinking over what categories those reasons fall under, and discuss how the arguments we make in favor of our game will shape the future of it. I like the quote, "What you win them with is what you win them to." The general idea is different arguments will win over different types of sorcerers, and that by selecting our winning arguments thoughtfully, we can attract the type of players that we want to see across the table from us, the kind of folks we trust trading cards with. In this way, we can shape both what our community is and how it's perceived. Let's first divide all winning arguments for sorcery into two categories, positive and negative. In this case, what I mean by positive is any argument that is about what sorcery does right, what it really excels at. Better still if it's something unique to the game, like the commitment to hand-painted art. More on that later. What I mean by negative arguments are arguments against playing other games, the obvious example being the downsides of Magic the Gathering, the ones we all know well, cramped set-release schedule, complexity creep, the proliferation of universes beyond, etc. When we win players over to sorcery with positive arguments, we are indirectly making some pretty profound statements. We are saying that sorcery inhabits a place of optimism, newness, and growth. We are saying that we're fighting apathy by caring deeply about the beauty and excitement our game has to offer. When we make arguments in favor of sorcery, we are lighting a beacon on a hill and inviting others to come and join our common cause. Winning new players over in this way brings in not just good people, but tenacious people. Folks who will stick with sorcery through thick and thin. By contrast, winning players over with negative arguments makes profound indirect statements as well. It says that we focus on what bothers us instead of what excites us. It says that we like to complain more than we like to create. Winning new players over in this way moves the needle closer to a community that thrives on bitterness and resentment. It also isn't winning them to anything substantial within sorcery. Folks who try sorcery for no reason other than that they don't like the direction of their current game aren't any more likely to stick with sorcery than they are to try yet another game. I've been guilty of many negative arguments in the past, and I now know that I need to do better. Realistically, it isn't something we will ever be able to get away from entirely, given human nature and the ever-increasing degradation of other games. But it is worth keeping in mind the balance between negative and positive, considering what messages we are sending and what sorts of folks we are winning. Beyond negative and positive, there are a few qualities we want to consider in our winning arguments. The first and most important is honesty. We are so inculcated in our society by the idea of sales. Everybody wants a yes, and justifying half-truths and lies of omission to get there has become a well-worn road in many a modern conscience. If we care more about quality than quantity of players that we win over, we need to be completely honest. even if it's a less successful sales tactic. A prominent example that I've experienced both first and secondhand is that when winning over an MTG player, it's easy and tempting to draw on the ways in which the games are similar, and gloss over or ignore the ways in which they are not. While you may get more folks to sit down and try a game with you by telling a half-truth about mana and lands being similar, what I have seen repeatedly is that when you gloss over the grid-based three-dimensional gameplay, what you end up with at the end of the first game with them is a disgruntled player who feels confused and even a little lied to. When we aren't honest about the steepness of the learning curve, we have set them up for failure and disappointment. By contrast, if you are honest with them about the onboarding process, you will get less bites, but the people you sit down with will have a much higher chance of enjoying the game, particularly if you've also focused on the positive instead of negative arguments as discussed previously. There is even a way to sell the learning curve as a fun and exciting experience. There's no need to omit something that so many in the community have found so rewarding. The joy really is in the struggle. There is some truth in the idea that the top of the mountain feels good in proportion to how hard it was to climb. We can be honest about the learning curve while insisting that rather than a hurdle to overcome, learning the game successfully is a victory on the horizon for every new player. Beyond that, messing up the rules can easily be part of the fun as well. Every sorcery player I've ever met has a story about some few rules that they messed up when learning the game. It's a wonderful bonding experience to share these tales with fellow sorcerers as the community grows. Another quality to consider in our winning arguments is humility. We need it. Sorcery is a small, new trading card game in a landscape increasingly saturated with new card games. We have to acknowledge that sorcery is a niche game. The things it has chosen to focus on are things like high-quality hand-painted art and kitchen table play. In humility, we are forced to admit that it can be hard to find others to play with, or that you may struggle to find a store that carries product. Ironically, humility is the exact antidote for these issues. If we deliver all the goodness sorcery has to offer to a new player, but aren't humble about where the game is and what it needs from its new players, then we have undone all our work. However, if we are humble in our victory, if we convince someone that sorcery is an incredible game that is worth their investment of time and money, and then also tell them that it is going to be, at least in part, on them to carry the beacon forward, then we have set them on a much brighter path. To get the game of sorcery to a point where most people can enjoy it in most places, we have to be humble and honest in acknowledging that we aren't there yet, and if you're going to get on board, we really need your help, or at least your patience. Humility is hard. In the present year of our world, it usually comes across as weakness. Nothing could be further from the truth. We who are convicted about sorcery and its goals, we who are optimistic about its future, are not weak in our vulnerability when we humbly acknowledge that we need help from others to do more. Lastly, I want to discuss the quality of thoroughness. In a sales pitch, generally you stop when you get a yes. You may have had more material prepared, but all you needed was a yes. I can't emphasize enough the notion that we should not treat winning over players like a sales job. We are not selling a subscription to a game called sorcery. We are recruiting members of a global club, folks for whom we wish the very best. To that end, we need to be sure we are thorough enough with new players that we have given them enough information to be successful on their own, and to be able to grow in their love and knowledge of the game independently. For example, it's easy to point people at Curiosa.io, compare it to similar resources for other games, and be on our way. It may not be as intuitive for others as it is for us, and our newly won players may need additional guidance and time from us. Humility and patience will go a long way. As another example of something I have failed to be thorough in explaining previously, sorcery packs are draftable. Sorcery supports limited play in a time when many other games don't or are phasing it out. Limited play might be easy to forget about if you aren't interested in it or have too small a play group, but for the right niche of players, the packs being draftable might make all the difference in the world. Winning is hard. Winning a game honestly and with humility is much harder than doing it by cheating, but so many times more rewarding. We are cheating ourselves and our fellow sorcerers when we carelessly and thoughtlessly pitch the game to new players. We are also shortchanging the community if we don't take winning new players over as seriously as we take winning games. It takes just as much, if not more, effort, and if we want to be able to play sorcery for years into the future, we need to get good at it. Selfishness will not suffice here. We all need people to play with. A game is only as strong as its community. It's probably not often we realize how much of the success of the game is on us. It's much easier to deflect responsibility than to take it on. But when we do take it on, when we win over a new player, we make sorcery a better game for everyone else who plays. Realize that when you go to a trading card convention with a sorcery tournament that has a triple-digit turnout, every player there was won over with some argument by a friend. That tournament was only possible because hundreds of other people cared enough about the game to share it with someone. Let us consider the impact that each of us has on the game. Let us realize that we, through our actions, will shape the future of the game for better or worse. Let us remember always to be positive, honest, and humble. The game we love is counting on it.